The night was calm over Earth. The oceans were quiet, and the stars looked peaceful, as if the universe was finally at rest. But peace never lasts. Not for humanity, not for long. Captain Elias Ward stood at the large glass window of the orbital defense station Horizon. The Earth below glowed like a blue gem, calm and beautiful, unaware of the nightmare coming from above. The station was one of the few guardians of Earth's skies, armed with lasers and missile turrets. But tonight everything felt too quiet, too perfect. Then the silence broke. An alarm screamed through the station. Red lights flashed. The floor shook as warning sirens echoed across every corridor. "Captain! We have incoming objects," shouted Lieutenant Mira from the radar deck. Elias rushed forward. "How many?" "Hundreds, sir. Maybe thousands. Speed 12,000 kilometers per second." "Meteors?" Mira's voice trembled. "No, sir. They're changing course. They're maneuvering." Elias froze. "Meteors don't turn. Only ships do." The screen showed tiny red dots rushing toward Earth, a storm of fire heading straight for humanity. The station's AI voice repeated, "Unknown objects approaching. Collision in 5 minutes. Get command online." Elias ordered. "I'm trying, sir, but..." Her words cut off. The screens flickered. Then the entire comm system went black. Earth signal was gone. Below them, the first explosions began. The night sky turned red. Giant fireballs cut through the atmosphere like burning comets. One after another, they slammed into the surface. Cities, oceans, power grids. Everything vanished under blinding light. From orbit, Elias could see entire continents glowing like molten metal. It wasn't war. It was extermination, he whispered, "Dear God, they're burning the world." Inside the Horizon station, panic spread. Soldiers and engineers ran through corridors, trying to man defense guns. But their weapons were useless against targets so fast, so many. The first wave struck the station. A shock wave tore through the outer hull. Half the crew was sucked into the cold vacuum of space. Elias grabbed onto a railing, blood dripping down his forehead as alarms screamed, "Hull breach! Life support failing! Mira! Get to the escape pods!" He shouted. "What about you, sir?" "I'll follow. Go!" But he didn't. Elias stayed at the command console. He watched as more alien fire rained down on Earth as if the heavens themselves were at war. Moments later, a faint voice cracked through the static on his headset. "This is Commander Juno Vega of the Lunar Command Base," the voice said. "If anyone can hear me, humanity still stands. We will fight." Those words pierced through the chaos. "We will fight!" Elias smiled weakly through the smoke. "You heard her," he said to the few survivors still on board. "We're not done yet." Hours passed. The fires on Earth kept burning. Nations vanished. Power grids collapsed. Billions of lives gone in a single night. But not everyone died. Underground shelters and deep bunkers still held survivors. The human spirit, stubborn, unbroken, refused to die. On the moon, Commander Juno Vega gathered what was left of the lunar fleet. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were filled with rage. "They think they ended us," she said to her crew. "But they don't know humanity." She stared at the glowing Earth through the observation window. Blue no more, now red and scarred. "We've been through extinction before," she whispered. "Ice, fire, plague, war, and we always came back stronger." A technician turned toward her. "Ma'am, who are they?" Juno shook her head. "We'll find out soon. But first, we survive." Meanwhile, up in the wrecked orbit, Elias Ward floated in the remains of Horizon, oxygen running low. Through the shattered window, he could see the burning planet below, and strange shapes moving beyond the stars. Giant dark ships, not metal but alive, moving with eerie grace. Their bodies pulsed with blue light, like beating hearts. He recorded a final message into the black box. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Orbital Defense Station Horizon. Earth has been attacked by an unknown force. They came without warning, without mercy. If anyone finds this, tell them we fought back. Humanity will not bow." He hit send, and the signal reached the moon base seconds before Horizon exploded. Commander Juno received it. She stood silent for a long time, watching the data play. Then she turned to her officers. Elias Ward died sending us this message. We owe him, and everyone down there, a response. She raised her head, eyes burning with determination. Prepare the fleet. They struck first. Her voice hardened like steel. But humanity will answer, with fire. The fires of Earth had finally dimmed. Smoke and dust covered the sky, turning day into endless twilight. Oceans boiled, cities lay in ruins, and for the first time in human history, the planet was silent. No planes, no internet, no news, just silence and fear. In the ashes of old New York, a small group of survivors huddled inside an underground metro tunnel. They had no light except a broken flashlight, no weapons except old rifles, and no hope until a voice came through the static on an old radio. This is Commander Juno Vega, speaking from Lunar Base Alpha. If you can hear me, you are not alone. Humanity still stands. The survivors froze. Someone shouted, "It's real! Someone's still out there!" For the first time since the attack, people began to believe again. High above the ruined planet, on the moon, Commander Juno Vega was fighting her own battle. The Lunar Command Base had survived the first wave, but barely. Half of her soldiers were gone, and supplies were running out. Every few hours, alien drones passed by, scanning the surface like vultures searching for life. "Commander," said her second-in-command, Lieutenant Roan, "the alien signal is repeating again." "Same frequency as before." Juno turned to the screen. The signal was strange, not words, but a pulsing rhythm like a heartbeat. It played every 12 hours across all frequencies. "What if it's a countdown?" Roan asked quietly. Juno didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. On the ground far below, another survivor had refused to die. Captain Elias Ward. He had escaped the Horizon Station's destruction in a damaged pod, crashing deep into the Siberian wilderness. When he woke, the world was unrecognizable. The sky was grey, filled with smoke. The stars were gone, hidden by ash. Elias moved through the frozen wasteland with only one goal: reach the old Russian military bunker known as Vault 9. It was built during the Cold War and had a direct uplink to an ancient satellite still in orbit. If he could reach it, maybe he could contact Juno, but the path wasn't easy. The alien drones hovered above the ruins, their smooth black bodies moving without sound. They didn't look mechanical, they looked alive. Each one scanned the surface with a blue beam, burning everything it touched. Elias hid behind an overturned truck as one drone passed. He could hear its pulse, like a living thing breathing in the air. When it moved away, he whispered to himself, "You're not gods. You just bleed in another color." He kept walking, step after step, through ice, smoke, and silence. 3 days later, he reached Vault 9. The doors were buried under snow, rusted shut. But Elias forced them open. Inside, the power was still running, old generators humming weakly. He sat at the console, wiping dust from the controls. "Come on." "Work," he muttered. He entered the codes he remembered from his old defense days. The satellite uplink began to flicker alive. Then a voice. "And the Lunar Base Alpha, this is Captain Elias Ward. Do you read me?" There was a pause, then a shocked reply. "Elias, you're alive." Juno's voice cracked through the static. For a moment, the endless silence of Earth was broken. "I'm alive," Elias said, smiling faintly. "But the planet's dead quiet. No comms, no movement, just those drones." "We've seen them," Juno said. "They're scanning for survivors." "They're failing then," Elias replied. "Because I'm not done yet," Juno updated him. The moon base was running out of time. Oxygen and food were limited. The alien signal, she believed, was preparing a second wave. Elias clenched his fists. "Then we hit first." He searched the bunker's data systems and found something unexpected, an old network linked to hundreds of decommissioned satellites. If he could restore them, he could give Earth survivors a communication net again. Not full internet, but enough to connect the scattered human groups. Project Echo, he called it. He worked for hours, fingers bleeding as he reprogrammed the dusty consoles. Then he pressed Activate. One by one, old satellites blinked awake, like stars relighting in the night sky. Across the dark earth, weak radio signals came alive again. Survivors heard new voices, new hope. Humanity began to whisper to itself again. This is Vault 9. We're alive. This is Tokyo Shelter. We hear you. This is Houston. We're still here. Humanity was talking again, but far above the moon something stirred. A massive shadow moved across the stars, larger than any ship seen before. The alien flagship had arrived in orbit, watching silently. Its body glowed with that same blue pulse as the countdown signal. Lieutenant Roan's face turned pale. "Commander, the signal has changed." Juno looked at the screen. The heartbeat had become faster, and a new tone appeared inside it. "A random, not alien, but a word." It repeated over and over in a cold metallic voice. "Purge sequence initiated." Juno's heart sank. "They're coming again," she whispered. "And this time, they won't miss." She turned toward the holoscreen, showing Elias's signal from Earth. "Captain, we don't have much time. Gather every survivor you can. We're preparing something that might turn this around." Elias nodded. "Then let's make them regret ever finding us." Outside, the sky trembled again. The silence was breaking, but this time, humanity was ready to answer. Darkness still covered Earth, but now it was no longer silent. Across the ruins, human voices were rising again, weak, broken, but alive. Through the radio network that Captain Elias Ward had reactivated, survivors began to share locations, food, and courage. But the alien ships were still there, watching. Their blue eyes glowed across the night sky like a warning. Humanity had survived the first strike. Yet the second was coming soon. Inside the lunar base, Commander Juno Vega stood before a group of engineers and soldiers. The air was cold, the lights dim. Her voice echoed through the metal chamber. "Earth can't defend itself," she said. "Our weapons are useless against their armor, but we've captured something from the enemy, and we're going to use it." A screen flickered on behind her, showing the wreck of a small alien drone recovered from the moon's surface. Its body was made of black crystal and living circuits. Its energy core pulsed faintly like a heart. "This," Juno said, pointing, "is alien tech fused with organic matter. We can't copy it, but we can feed it. If we mix it with human metal, human firepower, and human rage, we can build something new." A young engineer raised his hand. "What will we call it, ma'am?" Juno looked at the blue glow of the alien core and whispered, "Operation Dawnfire." Because dawn, the first light after the darkness, had to begin somewhere. Down on Earth, Elias Ward gathered survivors in the underground bunker Vault 9. He patched into Juno's channel. "You're really planning to build a weapon out of alien tech?" "Yes," Juno replied. "And I need your help. We can't do it alone from here. We need the materials buried in the old orbital scrapyards. Only you have access codes," Elias thought for a moment. "That scrapyard was built for retired war satellites and laser platforms. If we link them together, we could create a giant orbital cannon." "Exactly," Juno said. "A cannon powered by alien energy." Elias grinned. "Now that's human creativity." He gathered a small team, soldiers, engineers, and scavengers, and they traveled through the Deadlands to reach an old rocket base in Kazakhstan. The journey was dangerous. Alien patrol drones filled the skies, and the air was thick with smoke. But humanity had learned how to hide, how to fight smart, how to move like shadows. When they reached the base, the hangars were buried in dust and snow. Inside, they found 2 half-broken rockets. Elias placed his hand on the cold metal and whispered, "Old war machines, let's make you burn one more time." Meanwhile, on the moon, progress was slow but steady. The engineers worked day and night, fusing alien crystals with human metals. Every time they touched the alien tech, it screamed, not in sound, but in vibration, like it hated being changed. Some parts even tried to repair themselves, as if alive. Lieutenant Roan watched nervously. "Commander, this thing, it's not just a weapon. It's alive," Juno replied calmly. "Then let's remind it who its master is." When they powered it on for the first time, a surge of light filled the entire base. Circuits melted, lights exploded, but then silence. The weapon hummed softly, waiting. It worked. Juno smiled for the first time in weeks. "Tell Elias," she said. "Dawnfire is ready." Elias's team launched the old rockets carrying the alien human weapon cores toward orbit. It was risky. The alien fleet might notice. But humanity no longer cared about hiding. As the rockets rose through the burning atmosphere, alien drones detected them and opened fire. Blue plasma streaked across the sky. One rocket exploded mid-flight, but the second survived. Elias watched it vanish into the clouds. "Go," he whispered. "Light the dawn." Moments later in orbit, the moon's weapon core linked with the old satellite cannon. Energy from the alien crystal flowed through ancient human metal. Circuits glowed red and blue together. Two enemies fused into one, and then it fired. A single beam of light, white and furious, cut through the darkness of space. It struck the nearest alien warship orbiting Mars. For a second, the galaxy seemed to stop. The alien armor cracked, glowed, then shattered like glass. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from Earth's surface. Humanity had just destroyed its first alien ship. In the lunar command room, everyone stood frozen. Then cheers erupted. Juno didn't cheer. She simply stared at the fading explosion and whispered, "That's for Earth." Across the surviving human shelters, people saw the light and began to believe again. They didn't know what had happened, but they felt it. Hope. Elias looked at the red sky and smiled. "We did it. We just proved they can bleed." His second-in-command, Mira, laughed. "You think they'll just sit and watch?" Elias's eyes hardened. "No, they'll come for us. And when they do, we'll show them what humanity really is." Far away, on the edge of the solar system, inside a massive alien fortress ship, the Vael'kor High Commander watched the footage of their destroyed vessel. His skin shimmered like metal, his eyes cold as frozen stars. He turned to his subordinates. "The primitives have learned to fight," another alien hissed. "They used our own creation against us." The commander's voice was calm but deadly. "Then we shall erase them completely. Prepare the second armada." Back on the moon, Juno received a transmission from Elias. The screen flickered with static, but his voice was clear. "They struck first," he said. "Now it's our turn." Juno nodded slowly. "Then Operation Dawnfire is only the beginning." The camera of the base turned toward Earth, a wounded planet still burning, still alive. Humanity had answered the first blow. And this time the galaxy was watching. For the first time in history, humanity had struck back. The alien warship that once hung over Mars was gone, burned, shattered, erased by Operation Dawnfire. The explosion echoed through the void, and for a short, shining moment, humanity felt like gods. But victories in space don't stay silent. Someone, or something, was listening. On the moon, Commander Juno Vega stood inside the control room. The weapon had worked beyond expectations, but something strange followed. Every screen on the base flickered with static, symbols and sound waves, like someone was trying to talk. Lieutenant Rowan frowned. "It's the alien frequency again. But it's different this time." Juno leaned closer. "Put it on speaker." A deep, distorted voice filled the room. Harsh, cold, mechanical, and but alive. "We are the Vael'kor. The fire you cast into the dark has reached us." The crew went silent. The alien language slowly shifted, adapting, until it spoke perfect English. "You burn bright, humans." "Too bright. Fire consumes. Fire spreads. It must be extinguished." Then the transmission ended. Rowan turned pale. "They're talking to us now." Juno stared at the static screen. "No," she said quietly. "They're warning us." Meanwhile on Earth, Captain Elias Ward received the same signal. His team played it on repeat, analyzing the alien voice patterns. Every time the message played, the temperature in the room dropped, as if the voice itself carried cold. Elias listened carefully. "Fire spreads," he repeated. "They're afraid of us," Mira frowned. "Afraid? They wiped out half our species." Elias looked up. "And yet they're sending warnings now, not bombs." He stood, facing the cracked window overlooking the burned landscape. "That's fear, Mira. The kind you feel when your prey learns to bite back." In orbit, Juno ordered her scientists to decode the rest of the transmission. For hours, they worked through strange patterns hidden inside the audio. Finally, the data revealed something unexpected. Star maps, coordinates. "Commander," Rowan said, eyes wide, "these are planetary routes, they're communication lines. It's their Empire network." Juno leaned forward, her heart pounding. "They gave us their map?" "Not on purpose," Rowan said. "It leaked with the signal." That's when Juno realized something. The Vael'kor weren't just invaders. They were everywhere. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of fleets. But something about the map stood out. Entire systems were marked with a strange red symbol. Extinct. Elias joined the call from Earth. "What do those red marks mean?" Juno's voice was grim. "Planets they've already destroyed." Later that night, as the moon base rested, Juno stood alone in the observation dome. She looked at Earth's broken glow and whispered to herself, "How many voices have they silenced before us?" The door opened behind her. It was Rowan holding a datapad. "Commander, the engineers finished analyzing the alien cores. We found memory fragments, like digital ghosts." "We played one," Juno turned sharply. "Show me." He pressed play. The screen filled with images, alien worlds burning, cities collapsing, creatures running. But they weren't humans. They were other species, ancient, advanced, and gone. The Vael'kor had wiped them all out, and in the center of one image, Juno saw something terrifying. A massive Vael'kor temple with carvings written in glowing script. The translation came through slowly. "The galaxy must remain pure. The fire of evolution is chaos." Rowan looked at Juno. "They see themselves as cleansers. Everything that grows fast, that changes, that creates, they destroy." Juno clenched her fists. "Then humanity is everything they hate." On Earth, Elias gathered the survivors and broadcast a message through the restored satellite network. His voice echoed across the burned world and into the stars. "This is Captain Elias Ward. To anyone listening, to any species still out there, the enemy calls themselves the Vael'kor. They think they can erase life itself. But they made one mistake." He paused, staring at the old flag of Earth hanging behind him. "They thought humans would bow. They thought fire could be controlled." His tone hardened. "But they don't understand what we are. We are fire. We are chaos. And we're coming for them." Juno received his message on the moon and smiled faintly. "Always dramatic, that man," she said softly. Then she turned to Rowan. "Send a reply transmission directly to their frequency." Rowan hesitated. "Commander, that's dangerous. They'll track us." "Good," she said. "Let them listen." She stood tall and faced the microphone. The whole room went silent. "This is Commander Juno Vega of Lunar Base Alpha speaking for humanity. You came to our world with fire. You burned our cities, our oceans, our people. You thought we would vanish into dust." Her voice grew sharper, louder, full of steel. "But humans don't vanish. We rebuild, we adapt, we fight." The final words echoed across the comm. "You struck first. But humanity will answer with fire." The moment she ended the transmission, the room's lights flickered. The alien signal screamed through the speakers, loud, angry, full of static. The Vael'kor had heard her. On the far side of the galaxy, deep inside a massive fortress of metal and bone, the Vael'kor High Council gathered. The High Commander rose. His form was tall, his face covered in silver plates. "The humans have spoken," he said. "Their fire grows. Their courage spreads. This disease must be cut from the stars." He pointed toward a hologram, showing Earth and the moon. "Send the Armada." Back on the moon, Juno watched the stars. Somewhere out there, the Second War was already coming. She whispered, "Then we'll be ready." The camera panned out, showing the moon. Earth and the cold darkness between them, soon to be filled with ships, light, and war. The red planet had always been quiet. For centuries, Mars was only dust, rocks, and silence. But now, it burned like a second sun. The Vael'kor had turned Mars into a fortress, a world of black towers, glowing blue lights, and orbiting warships. Their flagships floated above the planet like hungry shadows. From orbit, the surface looked alive, pulsing with alien energy. But that silence was about to end. From the moon, Commander Juno Vega stood before the human fleet. What little was left of it. 40 ships, some new, some rebuilt from old wrecks. Every ship had scars, mismatched armor, and human courage running through its circuits. Today, Juno said over the broadcast, we take back Mars. Her voice echoed through every ship. They think this planet belongs to them, but Mars was the first world humans ever touched beyond Earth. It's ours, and we'll bleed for it if we must. The crew responded with cheers. Elias Ward's voice came through the channel from his command ship, Horizon's Echo. Let's remind the galaxy why humanity was born under fire, he said with a grin. The fleet jumped from lunar orbit, cutting through space like arrows of light. The alien radar caught them instantly. The Vael'kor ships turned, forming black walls of defense. Blue plasma cannons glowed to life, then silence. A second later, war. The stars erupted, missiles tore through the void. Plasma burned like liquid fire. The sky above Mars turned into a storm of explosions. Human ships dodged, dived, and weaved through the chaos. The alien vessels moved like predators, sleek and merciless. But humans had something aliens never understood: desperation. On the command deck, Elias shouted, "Target the left flank! Use dawnfire cannons!" His gunnery officer nodded, firing twin beams of white light. The alien shields shattered under the combined heat of human steel and stolen Vael'kor energy. "Direct hit," Mira shouted. Elias smiled. "Good, let's keep burning." Meanwhile, Commander Juno's ship, Luna's Wrath, led the assault on the surface. Dozens of troop carriers descended through the Martian atmosphere, engines screaming. Red dust storms tore across the sky as human soldiers landed, wearing patched armor and carrying scavenged alien weapons. The ground trembled as the first human boots touched the soil. Mars, the old dream of explorers, was now the battlefield of the species. Juno stepped off her lander, raising her rifle. "For Earth," she shouted. Hundreds of voices answered, "For humanity." The battle for Mars had begun. The Vael'kor ground forces were terrifying. Tall, armored creatures with glowing blue veins and weapons that fired energy waves. But humans fought with speed, chaos, and fury. They set traps, used the terrain, and fought like cornered wolves. Roan covered Juno's flank, shouting over the comms, "They're regrouping near the canyon ridge." "Then we'll hit them first," Juno replied. "Dawnfire team, move." The soldiers rolled out portable fusion cannons, crude, human-built versions of alien weapons. When they fired, the explosions tore through the alien lines like small suns. For a brief moment, the humans advanced. Red dust mixed with blue fire. The battlefield glowed with two colors, human rage and alien death. Up in orbit, Elias saw the alien reinforcements arriving. A massive Vael'kor dreadnought appeared above Mars, 20 times the size of a human ship. Its shadow alone covered half the battlefield. "Juno, we've got a problem," Elias said through the comm. "I see it," she replied. "Just keep them off us." Elias turned to his crew. "Prepare the dawnfire beam. Full power." "Captain, the reactor can't handle it." "It doesn't have to," Elias said. "It just has to last long enough." The Horizon's Echo dove straight toward the dreadnought. The crew held their breath as the massive alien cannons charged. Blue plasma blasted toward them, tearing through the ship's hull. Sparks, screams, and fire filled the command deck. "Fire!" Elias roared. The dawnfire cannon unleashed a blinding beam, white, gold, and blue, pure destruction. It pierced through the alien dreadnought's core. For a second, the ship glowed from within, then exploded in silence. The shockwave tore through orbit, scattering smaller ships. The Horizon's Echo drifted, engines failing, half its hull gone. But the dreadnought was gone too. Elias coughed through the smoke. "Tell Juno, Mars is clear." On the surface, Juno looked up at the sky, the explosion reflecting in her visor. "That's Ward," she whispered. He did it. Her soldiers cheered as the alien ground forces began retreating. Some fled to orbit, others simply collapsed, their glowing armor fading. For the first time since the invasion began, a human flag was raised again, this time on Mars. But victory had a price. Half the human fleet was gone. Thousands of soldiers never made it back. The Horizon's echo floated lifeless above the planet. Juno contacted Elias's ship. "Ward, do you copy?" Static. No reply. "Elias, answer me." Finally, a weak voice came through. "Still here, barely. But we did it, Juno. Mars is ours." Juno smiled through tears. "You stubborn fool. Hold on, we're coming for you." Hours later, as rescue ships searched the debris, Juno looked at Mars from her command deck. Red dust storms swirled beneath her. The planet was scarred, but alive. Humanity had claimed it, not as a colony, but as a promise. Rowan walked up beside her. "We won, Commander." Juno shook her head. "No, we survived. The real war hasn't even started yet," he frowned. "You think they'll come again?" "They will," she said quietly. "And next time it won't be for a planet. It'll be for everything." Far away, deep in the cold black of space, the Vael'kor High Commander watched the burning image of Mars. His voice was calm, but his eyes glowed brighter. "The humans defy extinction again. Very well. If they wish for fire, we will bring them the stars themselves in flames." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the Great Armada." The victory on Mars lasted only a few days. Humanity celebrated under red skies. But deep in the darkness beyond Neptune, something terrible was moving. Thousands of alien warships, massive, silent and burning with blue energy, were entering the solar system. The Vael'kor Great Armada had arrived. They didn't come to conquer this time. They came to erase. Commander Juno Vega stood in the war room of the rebuilt lunar command base, her face lit by the holographic map of the solar system. Red dots blinked, human ships. Blue ones, alien. And the blue was spreading like an infection. "How many ships?" she asked quietly. "More than we can count," Rowan answered. "At least 10,000. The room fell silent. Elias Ward, scarred and exhausted from the Battle of Mars, leaned on the console. He had refused medical leave. "Then we don't run," he said. "We fight where we stand." Juno stared at him. "Ward, we don't have enough ships. Half the fleet's still repairing. We can't face that kind of force." Elias smiled weakly. "We can. We just can't win. The plan was madness, but it was all they had." At the edge of the solar system, near Pluto's orbit, humanity had built something secret. The solar lance, a weapon powered by the sun itself, capable of firing one single beam strong enough to burn through a planet. It was humanity's last card, a weapon that required everything to work, even a human soul. Juno's voice echoed through the fleet comms. "This is Commander Vega. The Vael'kor are coming. They think Earth is weak. They think humanity can't stand against gods. Let's prove them wrong. Again." Across the system, every ship answered. Old freighters, lunar gunships, orbital platforms, all came online. It wasn't an army. It was a final stand. The day arrived. The void between stars began to shimmer. Then the first alien ship appeared, black as night, its hull glowing with lines of blue fire. Then another. Then hundreds. The human fleet opened fire first. Missiles streaked through space. Dawnfire beams cut across the darkness. For every alien ship destroyed, 3 more replaced it. Elias shouted orders, his voice hoarse but firm. "Keep the line steady. Don't break formation." His ship, the rebuilt Horizon's Echo, burned with damage from Mars, but still fought like a beast. Plasma fire struck the hull. The deck shook. Sparks filled the air. "Shields at 30%. Mira yelled. "Hold them!" Elias replied. "We just need time for the lance to charge." At the solar lance station, Juno stood before the control core. The massive weapon faced the sun, absorbing light and converting it into pure energy. The charge meter climbed, 40%, 60%, 70%, but it wasn't enough. The alien fleet was closing in. "Elias," Juno said through the comms. "We need 3 more minutes." He laughed through the static. "You've got 2. The alien armada surrounded the human fleet. Massive dreadnoughts fired in unison. Human ships exploded one after another. Silent flashes in the black. The void became a graveyard of light. Elias gritted his teeth. "We're out of time. Bring us closer to the lance." His navigator stared at him. "Closer?"
Sir, we'll be caught in the beam.
Exactly, Elias said softly. We'll make sure it fires. As his ship turned, Elias opened the private channel to Juno. You said once that Mars was ours because we bled for it, he said. Now it's time to bleed for Earth. Juno froze. Elias, don't. Tell them. Tell them humanity never kneels. Before she could answer, Elias cut the connection. The Horizon's echo pushed forward through enemy fire. The hull cracked. Engines screamed. Alarms blared. Crew members held their stations without a word. They all knew what was coming. Elias looked out the window, the stars burning, ships dying, the solar lance glowing bright gold. Let's light up the void, he whispered. Inside the solar lance, Juno saw his ship appear on the sensor, right in front of the weapon's core. He was using his ship's reactor to boost the beam manually. He was giving it his life. Charge complete, the AI announced. Tears filled Juno's eyes. Fire! The solar lance released its power. A beam of white gold energy burst forward, brighter than the sun, silent, pure. It tore through the alien armada like a god's wrath. Dozens of ships vanished instantly. The beam hit the Vael'kor flagship, a city-sized dreadnought, and cut through it clean. The explosion that followed was seen from Earth. For a few seconds, the night sky turned to day. Silence. Juno's voice trembled. Elias, do you copy? Static. No reply. All that remained of the Horizon's echo was drifting light and fragments, floating in victory and sacrifice. The surviving alien ships retreated. The great armada was gone. The solar lance dimmed, its energy spent. Juno stood alone in the control room, her hands trembling. He did it, she whispered. He saved us all. Days later, Earth watched as the last transmission of Elias Ward was recovered. His final words, spoken before the beam fired, if they ever come again, remind them who we are. Remind them that humans were born in fire, and we never stop burning. Juno replayed those words in silence. Outside, the stars looked different, no longer distant, but alive. Humanity had survived the impossible, but she knew the war wasn't over. The galaxy was watching now. Far away, in the ruins of the Vael'kor command ship, a single alien survivor whispered through the flames. The humans answered with fire. And the stars will never forget. The war was over. The stars were quiet again, but that silence felt heavy, the kind that comes after fire. Earth had survived the impossible. Mars still burned red. The moon was cracked, and half of humanity's fleet was gone. But they were alive for the first time in history. The galaxy had seen humanity's true face, not weak, not afraid, but unbroken. Commander Juno Vega stood inside the Great Hall of New Geneva, built over the ruins of old Europe. The sky above was filled with broken satellites and faint glows, the scars of war. Before her stood soldiers, engineers, doctors and civilians, the survivors of the final battle. A massive banner hung behind her. Humanity endures. She stepped forward, her voice steady but soft. Elias Ward gave his life for this victory, she began. He didn't fight for medals or glory. He fought so that every child on this planet could look at the stars without fear. The crowd was silent. Their faces lit by candlelight. Many said we were small, primitive, fragile. But when the galaxy struck first, Juno looked up at the night sky. And we answered with fire. The hall erupted in applause, not of celebration, but of remembrance. Every clap echoed for those who didn't return. Later, Juno walked through the command deck of the new human flagship, ECS Horizon 2. She touched the cold metal walls. It was rebuilt from pieces of the Horizon's echo, the ship Elias had died on. Feels like he's still here, said Roan, standing beside her. He is, Juno replied. Every ship that flies now carries his code. His voice is in our systems, his choices in our design. Elias Ward didn't die. He became part of everything we built. Through the window, she watched the stars. They no longer looked silent. They looked alive, waiting, watching. Months passed. Humanity rebuilt faster than anyone expected. The solar lance became the core of a new defense grid. Mars was filled with new colonies, built by survivors and veterans. Even the ruins of alien ships were studied, their technology slowly becoming part of human science. But something else began too. Whispers across the stars. From the edge of known space, faint signals arrived, alien transmissions. Not all were threats. Some were curious, others afraid. The galaxy had finally noticed humanity. One evening, Juno sat alone in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before her. She opened the final recording Elias had left behind, his voice old, broken, but warm. "Juno, if you're hearing this, then I guess I didn't make it. Don't let them forget what we are. Not the soldiers, not the builders, not the dreamers. Tell them that when the universe came for us, we didn't run. We burned." Her eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "I'll tell them, Elias," she whispered. "Every world will know." Years later, humanity expanded beyond the solar system. Ships flew with new banners. The United Earth Fleet. Each carried the symbol of fire and a single line beneath it. We answered. New generations grew up hearing the story. The day the sky burned. The battle for Mars. The fire in the void. Children in lunar schools recited the name Elias Ward as the man who lit the stars. And every time a new ship launched into space, it played his final words before jumping into the void. If they ever come again, remind them who we are, but not all was peace. Deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, alien worlds whispered in fear and awe. The Vael'kor Empire was gone, shattered, but others watched. Some wanted revenge. Others, alliance. A secret council met on a distant world, beings of different shapes and voices. They projected a single image into the air. Earth. One of them spoke in a trembling voice. They destroyed the Vael'kor. "The humans are dangerous." Another replied, "No, they are more than dangerous. They are inevitable." Back on Earth, Juno looked up at the night sky from the same hill where the first alien ship had fallen years ago. The air was quiet, the stars bright. Roan joined her carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You ever think they'll come again?" he asked. Juno smiled faintly. "They will. The universe never forgets a fire like ours." She took a sip and looked at the horizon, the faint glow of a new dawn. "Let them come," she said softly. "This time we'll be waiting." The wind blew across the grass. Far above, the stars flickered, as if bowing to the fire that had once burned the void, and somewhere, in that endless darkness, a faint echo of a voice whispered through space. Elias Ward's last words, carried by light itself. "You struck first." But humanity answered with fire. The end. The answer of humanity. HFY sci-fi series, SCI FI Defenders.